So on my recent exploration of American football, and more specifically college football, one thing I've been absolutely blown away by is the stadiums. These amazing arenas of colour, noise, and most importantly passion. They've surprised me just due to the sheer size of them. A lot of these stadiums hold over 100,000 people. I think in college football, the attendances are probably more than pretty much any other sport worldwide. So today I wanted to look at some of the best college football stadiums. This is specifically from the SEC, which I believe is the Southeastern Conference.
The Southeastern Conference has some of the biggest stadiums in the world. They're also
Biggest
some of the
stadiums in
best
the world in
that college football has to
football.
offer. I'm gonna try to rank them, but as always, it's not a ranking that should be taken too seriously.
So this is interesting to
as
see
it's mostly
how they are
subjective,
ranked.
and
You
I'm
can tell me if you
closer to being
agree with this
illiterate than I am to
ranking
being an
system or
expert
how
on
they are
anything.
ranked.
First
Well, look at this one already, just to start, sorry. Got baseball here, I think that might also be baseball. Got a lot of little sports fields here. And one thing I already noticed was the large car park. I know that in American football in general, maybe American sports, one thing that's very important is tailgating. So we always see these like large car parks. Tell me, what is tailgating like? Tell me, explain the experience. Being from the UK, we don't have that at all. We just go to the pub, drink a pint, go to the match. Tailgating is something that really intrigues me and it's something I would love to experience one day.
Bank Stadium. This is probably not a big surprise. The school isn't exactly known for its
Very
love of
grey,
football,
this stadium.
and the stadium
seating.
sort of reflects that.
It's only got
This
3
basic
sides
horseshoe
covered.
structure is not only the smallest stadium in the conference, it's also the most boring or the least interesting. Whatever way you put it, it's dull. If I had to come up
Don't know
with
if
a
that's rude
positive,
or not.
well, in a week or so it'll be celebrating its 100th birthday.
Oh, 100
So it'll be
years
getting
for
a
that
letter
stadium?
from the Queen.
A lot of history.
Davis
Another
Wade
one with only
Stadium.
3 sides, but look at those
The
2
oldest
top
stadium in the
tiers.
conference
Magnificent.
doesn't necessarily look the oldest, but it's certainly not the most interesting design going round. There are 2 huge video boards.
Yeah, I was going to say why I noticed this like with some of the other stadiums I've seen in the video, but yeah, they do only have these 3 stadiums. I thought with like the American way of life, this capitalist nature of America, that they would be trying to maximize the amount of seats. So all they would see here is just like how many seats can we fit here, how much more money. Maybe because it's college teams, it doesn't matter so much.
One of which has a unique section of seating underneath. Speaking of underneath, the team's original mascot, a bulldog obviously, is buried underneath the field.
Whoa.
Some say on a quiet night, you can still hear a bark. Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. This has recently
You see
undergone
the
some
car park there.
transformative renovations, which is a bit of a theme with the stadiums in this conference.
Really like the
Most
steepness of
recently, it was
the
the north end
stands.
zone seating that has been rebuilt, as you can see. The end zone seating is the stadium's strong point for sure. I'm not such a fan of its exterior, especially when compared to some of the others coming up, but it's still a great stadium overall. Vaught Hemingway Stadium. The recent additions here are quite apparent, but even
This
though
one's
they
the
don't
first one, I
blend
think,
in
with
very well, they
seating
have
all the
given
way
what
around.
was a fairly simple single-tiered stadium some upper decks that are not only undercover, but have some nice red
Yeah,
chairback
that's-
seats rather than the same old aluminium benches.
That's what I was going to say. Like a lot of these stadiums don't have a roof. Like, is that very common in American sports? Maybe because this is in the south of America, maybe it doesn't rain so much. But I can't imagine just sitting at a match getting poured on by rain the whole match.
Still, it does look a little clunky.
I think it
Maybe
looks
if the
nice.
north
This
end
stadium
zone
actually.
seating had that same upper deck, it would look a little better. Kroger
Whoa.
Field.
Look at this.
That
Now we're
was the
talking.
length-
Look at the size of that car park. But one thing I compared American stadiums to, or college football stadiums, American football stadiums on a previous video was Roman amphitheaters, like the Colosseum. You know, these like huge round structures, no roofs. This one is like that.
But then Vanderbilt secured the first bank naming rights deal to take the cake. Perhaps not everyone is as obsessed with colour as I am, but I think those blue-backed benches
Well,
make a world of difference
I
to
think
the
it
stadium's
looks
appearance,
cooler
compared with the plain metal
when
variety.
the seats are of like
I
vibrant
know it makes
colours like
little
this.
difference on game day, but I think it should be more
that's true,
common.
but yeah, when the fans come in, it completely
Other than
transforms.
That, the
Look
stadium
at that.
does have all its ducks in a row
Beautiful.
in aisle 3.
Oh.
Foro Field. This is quite similar to Davis Wade, but it has some more interesting features,
Those stands.
including the only proper grass berm in the conference. Most stadiums are just too big for one. And on that berm is the biggest letter M in the conference. Most teams don't consider oversized letters to be a priority. That's a shame. Also, the newly redeveloped south end zone looks great. Although it's still pretty simple, every element of the stadium comes together nicely.
Very nice. Oh,
Jordan
now we're
Hare
talking
Stadium.
amphitheaters. Look at
I
this.
pronounced it the proper way this time, even though it doesn't sound right coming out of my mouth.
Those two big
I don't know, I look at
stands
that
at the
name
top.
and
I think that's the second time I've seen that. It just
Hare, but
looks
when
great.
in Alabama. It does have a huge video board, and more importantly, some rather nice hedges along the sidelines.
Look at that view
However,
from there as
there's
well.
not all that much else that stands out.
perfect.
It's a mostly bare concrete.
When the fans come into the stadium, it like just looks so different, man. It really looks magnificent.
exterior, and despite Auburn having the best colours in my opinion, it's not all that vibrant on the inside. Williams-Brice
This is
Stadium.
very different.
This stadium's biggest strength
Those big
might
parts
be
at the
its
top
nickname,
Look
the
very
cockpit.
unique architecturally.
Not just because it's the home of the Gamecocks, but in the past, spectators up here could experience some turbulence, I guess you could say. Same as you would in a cockpit.
So high.
It doesn't have many frills, but it's a solid stadium nowadays. I actually think this floodlight setup makes the stadium look that little bit better.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Those floodlights are so interesting, so unique, very distinct. Like I love looking at the architecture of not just American sports stadiums, but just like I love football stadiums, like soccer stadiums. The differences. I support Glasgow Rangers. I love our stadium. We've got like a listed building as our main stand, so I'm very proud of that. And I really like to see all the differences in stadiums and the things that make them unique. These floodlights definitely do that.
One downside to this place is that it's a bit far from the campus, but you can always take the shuttlecock. I hope that's actually a thing.
Whoa.
Gaylord family, Oklahoma Memorial
The
Stadium.
outside of this looks so
I do
good.
much prefer its nickname, the Palace on the Prairie.
Palace
Of course,
on the
back in
Prairie.
the early days, it was just a little house on the prairie. But as you can see, it's quite grandiose these days.
Yeah, very
Just
grand.
stunning. There
Brilliant.
is a
The
large
brickwork
disparity
just looks
between
so
the outside
classy.
and the inside in terms of looks, but the recent renovations have made a huge impact. The stand behind the south end zone used to stick out like a sore thumb. Now it's probably the highlight of the stadium.
Yeah, I like the way they've filled in the corners. It really, that enclosed feeling. Look at that. That enclosed feeling just, I think, would add to the atmosphere. Look at this stadium. That is the definition of an amphitheatre. The one that looks like the Colosseum, like a modern day Colosseum. The round shape of it with that white. But look at the location beside the river here, man. How beautiful this whole area. Imagine your team wins a match. It's a nice warm evening. You just take a walk back alongside that river, having a nice cold beer. Bliss.
Neyland Stadium. Although the
101,000.
Tennessee Riverside locale is quite serene, I
Very
haven't
serene,
taken that
yeah.
into account, given that you could be anywhere once inside.
Look at the shape of this.
But who needs natural beauty when you have a
Whoa.
site like this? Unfortunately,
Yeah,
the
for sure.
creamsicle colour scheme isn't as present as it could be when there are no fans in the house.
Look at that stand. How imposing. That is how sports stadiums should look. Imagine you're running out there as a home player and you just see fans in that curvature. Man. Everybody in that stand will have a perfect angle at the field.
But there's still a decent amount of orange, most notably in those famous checkerboard end zones.
Oh yeah, cool.
It's an interesting stadium for sure.
That's very different as well. I think usually it has like the name of the team on it, is it?
Ben Hill Griffin Stadium.
Get those
There's
stands
a lot
there.
to love about this place.
The tiers. I
Firstly,
like
the
that.
combination of modern and traditional design elements,
A swimming
with the
pool
brick
outside as well.
facade and the angular nature of the seating bowl. You also got to
Yeah,
love
the
that
angle
vibrant
is very
colour scheme
cool.
of blue and orange.
It's like
But there is one
like an
downside.
octagon,
It's
hexagon.
called the Swamp for a good reason.
the swamp.
It's a hot and sweaty experience. It's just a shame that there isn't some sort of great tasting
Whoa, look at
beverage that
that.
can not only hydrate you, but
Fantastic.
replace your electrolytes as well.
Yeah, someone told me that on a previous
make
video
do
that
with Gatorade for
Gatorade
now.
was actually invented by this university. I cannot believe that.
Darrell
It's so
K.
cool.
Royal Texas Memorial Stadium.
Oh yes.
This is a very similar story
Look
to
at
Gaylord.
the exterior of this as well. So classy with that brickwork. But the inside of this is like perfect. Look at the shape of that.
Not just the impressive brick
It's like an
exterior,
L shape stand.
but the recent South End Zone expansion transformed it into a
Yeah.
proper enclosed stadium.
Yeah.
Except this one's a little better. They may have gotten rid of the Godzillatron, but it's been
Godzillatron?
replaced with a wider screen, luxury suites galore,
Look at that as well. I mean, the view there with the city behind is great, but the incorporation of what I believe is their logo here, with the horns and things, that just looks so good. I've not seen like anything like that on any of the other stadiums. That's a very nice touch.
and just a better looking stand in general. Other than that, this unique boomerang-shaped upper deck that wraps its way around the north and
Yeah.
eastern sides makes for an interesting look.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was like an L shape, actually. Yes, look at this. The white colour, this is another Coliseum one, but the white colour of there is stunning. It's another stadium over here, actually. The size of the car park, you're definitely getting some good tailgating going on in
Tiger
there.
Stadium. I know this will be enraging some Cajuns right now, who I'd assume would consider
That
their
is
stadium
beautiful.
the best. And for good reason. It literally gets so loud that it confuses seismographs into thinking there's been an earthquake.
Really? I can imagine
Every
it.
other week, it don't make no sense. But the structure itself,
Come on, man. Look at inside these stadiums. How could you not want to be there, man? Especially with the fans inside. Look at the shape of that. The sunset, man.
isn't perfect.
Lovely stuff.
It's not in the best condition, and the extensions that have been added over the years don't really gel together well, in my opinion. Having said that, it's
think
still
that's
an
been overly
extraordinary
critical.
and unique stadium.
Oh, man.
Bryant-Denny Stadium.
100,000.
It's crazy to think that this has
Look
a
at the
capacity
shape
of
of this,
over
the
100,000 and is only the fourth biggest in the conference.
Only the fourth
Big
biggest.
curved upper decks
Damn.
kind of remind me of the cricket stadiums in Australia,
Yeah, it does actually.
as much as a rectangular stadium can. Quite like them. This one in particular could even be described as a crimson tidal wave.
Yeah, look how steep they are as well, man.
Although the grand exterior is impressive, it isn't quite as awe-inspiring as the upcoming stadiums. Sanford Stadium. This one does
Yes.
just have a bare concrete exterior, which I mentioned as a negative earlier, but I just love the
Look
way
at
that
how
it appears
smooth
to-
that looks. I mean, that big stand there, here, compared to the small stand, just makes it look so intimidating and so imposing.
have been sculpted into the undulating landscape.
Yeah, it does. It looks
As
like
well
it's
as
just
the
been...
view over the campus that some spectators
carved
are
out.
treated with. It also gets bonus points for the famous hedges that surround the entire field.
Ah, nice little touch, actually.
Yeah, Auburn has hedges, but not end zone hedges, which can only be achieved if your hedge funds are managed correctly.
Oh, come
Kyle Field.
on, man. Look at that. That is stunning, man. Got like everything about that, the little touches. It got this kind of traditional feel here. Got this very classic feel here. Just look, everything looks so pristine, especially with this little park thing here as well. Very classy place.
Well, a part of me didn't want to put this in number one. It was my elbow, but it just has so much going for it. It's the biggest stadium in the conference. It has the most impressive exterior. I mean, just look at that.
Whoa,
A
very
good
nice.
chunk of the stadium is pretty much brand new, and there are more chairback seats than at any other SEC stadium.
It just like really every stadium I see, I just get more impressed by the sheer size. That is just it's like from another world. Imagine everybody at their loudest making so much noise for their team. It just must vibrate side to side, the noise, and for the players in the middle, that just soaking that up. Oh, fantastic.
Stadium. If I had to try and point out a negative, well, the distribution of chairback seats leaves it looking a little lopsided, but that's understandable, considering what they have planned.
Yeah, so why do some of the seats have like a back and some don't? Is it just to fit more people in there? But yeah, that was the number one. So That was a fantastic list. I really enjoyed seeing all of those stadiums, seeing a bit more of them, looking at the architecture. I love looking at stadium architecture, and all of these impress me in different ways. Tell me what you think about all of them. What's your favourite from all of these? Which one has the best atmosphere? I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, tell me what you think. Thanks.